Former Bomet Governor Ruto says ideological differences led to his departure from opposition coalition NASA. In the run-up to the 2017 general election, Ruto appeared to make a quick about-turn, ditching his core principles in NASA to join hands with the government. He spoke to Jackie Maribe on his political love affair gone sour, aggravated by talk of mass action in a politically charged nation.
Former Governor, thank you for making the time to join us on Citizen Television. I'll go straight into it. You have been away from the public limelight for a couple of months now after that general election. What have you been up to?
I'm quite okay, comfortable. I'm relaxed. I enjoy my time with the family. I have plenty to do as a private citizen. And I decided to take leave. Obviously, you'll hear more about me in the political arena because I'm basically a politician. But I would prefer a fairly quiet first year to let those who have been elected to settle and start delivering the jobs. Let them find their bearings, and then we start checking what they are doing, and then we start the normal conversation as Kenyans.
Now, that said, are you satisfied with the decision that the electorate of Bomet County made last year?
No, I don't want to discuss that subject right now because I have refused to discuss that subject from the date the elections were announced. Because first of all, I never came out to congratulate anyone for winning any election. But I said that that's where you've arrived under the circumstances. Proceed. But there were issues I never quite agreed with.
In the run-up to last year's general election, you had appeared to move to the opposition coalition NASA. You even became one of the co-principals. But there was a sudden about-turn, and you pledged to work with the government of the day even as they were campaigning. What was going on there?
No, what I wanted at that time is to prevent a situation in which Kenya would lead into serious breakdown of law and order. I was terribly appalled when I saw baby Pendo killed. I don't subscribe to those violent situations. And I thought it would be better if we ourselves, even those who were in NASA, would be a little more level-headed and ensure that we don't push the country beyond where we had reached. Because even if we felt someone else mismanaged elections, and if we also mismanage the peace, no one is any better. Yeah, no one can say he's a better person when you're mismanaging the peace of the country, the other is mismanaging elections, the other one is doing, then you're all wrong. Let's have a peaceful country. Let us address our issues. Even if we cannot address it ourselves, time will address those issues.
So where do you stand now? Because perception in politics is key here. And on the one hand, you were seen to be ditching NASA. On the other hand, you appeared to be joining or supporting the Jubilee agenda in the run-up to the elections.
Yes, I was simply saying that I'm ready to facilitate peace. And by having a handshake with William Ruto was good enough for the public to come together, and they were actually ecstatic in that part of the country that we would at least come together. A lot of them were satisfied with what was happening before, and they felt there was need for us to work together and ensure that they themselves remain happy, because they are inseparable. For example, if we were to push for mass action at that time. So I wouldn't know. Pushing mass action in my area would be pushing mass action, the sons versus the mothers, or the children versus the parents, or the parents versus the children. What is it all about? And what is it in aid of? Let's relax.
So did you break ranks with NASA? What exactly happened?
I made it clear in my meetings at the NASA summit that I would not subscribe to mass action. That I prefer, first of all, at that stage, my colleagues, a number of them, did not even want to go to court. I told them the best place for us to go is the court. Finally, we agreed that let's go to court. Remember, we went to court the last day. Earlier on, there was a serious refusal to go to court. I was of the view, I was not alone anyway, there was one or so others who felt and agreed with me that it was necessary for us to go to court anyway. Finally, everyone agreed, let's go to court, however reluctantly. And then when the courts annulled the presidential election, it was my considered view that there would be no real change, because the same systems would deliver the same results, even perfected. So what is the best situation under the circumstances? Let's accept the reality. Let's support the incoming government. Let us bide for time and address the concerns that we have, because there's always time. Because if we were to push at that point in time, tempers were high on both sides of the divide. And if the tempers are high on both sides and you start shouting, the electorate would take up arms, cudgels, completely uncontrolled. And your good intentions would disappear. And you get all the wrong results, worse than the ones you achieved in the ballot box.
And what do you make of the handshake? And in your opinion, does it have a key role to play in the 2022 succession debate?
For me, I don't tie the handshake to 2022. Because I don't think the handshake in any way was part of a deal to 2022. In my view, the handshake was a decision of statesmen. The two of them wanted peace. The two of them understood the divisions that were in the country. Those issues do not in any way point at an election pact. In fact, they pointed the management of a diverse country, ensuring that let there be unity.
But would you be in support of a referendum?
Yes, I would. There are certain issues which you remember I kept pointing out even before. I still believe, remember I went to no, and I strongly went to no because I did not believe in a pure presidential system of government, because it would become very exclusive. And I think a lot of Kenyans have now seen what that exclusivity we were fearing is. There are only two people struggling to connect with Raya at the top. That is the president and his deputy. Below them, the ministers are completely unconcerned. They only wake up one day and rush to the airport to chase another one out of the country or something like that. After that, they disappear until you don't know what they do on a day-to-day basis. There is no connect in this type of government. I would prefer a situation in which we have a president elected by Kenyans, of course with his deputy, but there should also be a parliamentary system of government in Bunge, so that ministers ought to come from Bunge and answer questions, so that the Kenyans are watching. They will be questioned seriously in parliament to explain these things. Look, we wait until it is too late, then we call them to a parliamentary committee. But there is also one thing I think about these changes. This is not the right time. I wouldn't agree that we ask Kenyans to go to a referendum in 2019. Obviously not 2018, not even in 2019. I wouldn't even want it in 2020. But I think we can discuss these issues in 2021 or 2022. 2021 from sometimes in November or October. Because there is one problem we have had in this country of politicking from day one to the last date. And then we therefore don't pay any attention to serious economic issues.
Let's talk about the rift in the Valley, former governor. And the Rift Valley politics has taken center stage in recent political debate, changing the landscape. On the one hand, we have the deputy president and his ambition for 2022. On the other, we have Gideon Moi, whose lieutenants pushing him to announce his bid for 2022. There seems to be a bit of a back and forth or a squabble that, you know, continues to brew. What is your position, coming as a strong voice that has been there in the Rift Valley on this particular rift in the valley?
No, according to me, there is really no quarrel between the two. Gideon Moi is leading his political party called KANU. And he has every right to aspire to be president if KANU will garner the numbers. William Ruto is heir apparent for Jubilee. So Jubilee can't lack a presidential candidate simply because Gideon Moi is leading KANU. I'm also leading Chama Mashina, and there are others who would still come up. So what is the issue? The point is, we wouldn't want it to get ugly. What we would advise the lieutenants on both sides is that they should leave dirty language out of it. There is no need for abuses, and there is no need of dragging President Moi into that debate. President Moi is not a contestant. He has not even been issuing any political statements. So really, and we should also separate KANU from the family life of the Moi family. The Moi is a respected statesman, and we value his contribution to this country. We also value his leadership during his time. And even as of now, we revere Moi in Rift Valley. So in this situation, I think the two of them, we have no issues. And if things go a little bit ugly, we are always ready to do the conciliatory part. We can play the Kissinger parts for them. Otherwise, the two of them are ours. We have no personal issues as such. And I would only advise the young legislators and the young politicians to stop being abusive in public rallies.
Isaac Ruto, once again, thank you so much for making the time to speak to us on Citizen Television. That has been the former Bomet County governor breaking his silence on a number of issues, what he has been getting up to and his plans for the future. And I'm very sure we'll be speaking to you again sometime very soon. Asante sana.
Right, and we take a look now at your feedback and sample them. We begin with what you're saying on Twitter as we wind up. We have David Ngurenganga, NYS scandal is an early call for the whole IFMIS to be overhauled. We can bet more will be swindled if the current factors and system. Right, okay. If the current factors and system, okay. So demoralizing to all tax-paying Kenyans, okay. And we have Dr. Mutwiri Wilson on the right maize scandal, left health scandal and sideways. Okay, on the right maize scandal, on the left health scandal and sideways NY scandal. Once the names of the corrupt leaders are mentioned, we usually see them as representatives of our tribes, not as criminals awaiting trials. Right, Agumba Steve, Honorable Isaac Ruto should come back to politics. We miss his vibrance. Pastor Gaido, CK reduction of security detail, not a justification for Sonko to transfer a public office to his home. Besides, it is not in order for him to have 26 officers to himself. And Clean says, like how Isaac Ruto handles political heat. I like how Isaac Ruto handles political heat. Simply the best strategist in Rift Valley, because if elections are held today in Bomet, Isaac Ruto will have a landslide victory. I thank you so much for your feedback and for watching The Big Question tonight. I'm Hussein Mohammed. Have a good night.